Today, we're diving deep into a type of psychological manipulation that is so incredibly subtle, so sophisticated, it can actually turn your closest friends against you without a single shred of proof. We're not talking about a simple fight or a disagreement here. No, we're talking about the complete and systematic sabotage of your entire social world. It's a tactic, a strategy, known as group isolation framing.
Think about it. We rely on our social circle for everything, right? For affirmation, for support, for just checking in to make sure we're not crazy. It's our foundation. But what if that very foundation could be methodically taken apart, piece by piece, by one person? Imagine being left totally alone, with nowhere to turn, forced to just absorb their abuse. Well, that is the dark, twisted paradox of group isolation framing. It's a calculated sabotage of your reality, and it's designed to turn your greatest strength, your people, into the very walls of your prison.
So how in the world does this even happen? Well, we're going to break this whole thing down. First, we'll dig into that isolation paradox. Then we'll get into the manipulator's actual blueprint. We're going to walk through their three-stage takedown, step by step, and really unpack the psychology that makes it all work. And most importantly, we are going to arm you with the defensive playbook and talk about how you can reclaim your own objective truth.
Okay, let's start by pulling back the curtain on this manipulator's blueprint. You have to understand this isn't just random cruelty, it's a calculated psychological operation. To get why isolation is so powerful, we first need to get the strategy behind it. So what exactly is group isolation framing?
So at its core, group isolation framing is a seriously advanced manipulation strategy. The key phrase here is external reality anchors. I mean, think about it. How do we know what's real? We talk to our friends, our family, the people we trust. They anchor us. This tactic is designed to just systematically cut those anchors, one by one, until the only person left to tell you what's real is the manipulator. This is a classic move in coercive control, and a huge red flag for what's known as high Machiavellianism. Basically, a personality type focused on being cynical, manipulative, and totally emotionally detached.
So what's the end game here? What's the point of all this? Well, the goal is brutally simple. Supply maximization via isolation. Now, for a manipulator, supply is what they live on. It can be attention, praise, money, or just the raw feeling of being in control. By cutting you off from everyone else, they guarantee they have an endless, uninterrupted flow of that supply. There's no one around to question their story, no one you can ask for help, and no one to pull you aside and say, hey, this is not okay.
And to pull this off, they have a very specific toolkit. The foundation of the whole thing is the smear campaign, a slow, quiet poisoning of the well to discredit you over time. Then there's selective revelation, where they'll share tiny bits of truth totally out of context to make their bigger lies feel believable. They also recruit what are called flying monkeys. Yeah, from The Wizard of Oz, where they get your own friends and family to do their dirty work, usually without them even realizing it. And the whole thing is wrapped in the most important tool of all: plausible deniability. And this is what makes the whole strategy so genius and so terrifying. The manipulator never looks like the bad guy. They go to your friends not with accusations, but with this fake concern. They'll say stuff like, I'm so worried about Sarah. She seems really unstable lately. It sounds like they care, which makes their poison almost impossible to see until the damage is already done.
So, with these tools ready to go, the manipulator launches their attack. And believe me, it is an attack. A devastatingly effective step-by-step process. So let's break down the 3 stages of this takedown.
The whole thing unfolds in 3 clear stages. First, you have narrative seeding. That's when they plant the poison. Then comes social polarization. That's the moment your friends are forced to turn on you. And finally, total isolation. That's when the trap slams shut.
Let's look at step 1, narrative seeding. This is where the manipulator, hiding behind that plausible deniability, starts the smear campaign. They go to people you both know and plant these little seeds of doubt. They'll say things like, I'm worried about him, he's just been so unreliable, or, honestly, she seems to be kind of losing her grip on reality. It's always framed as concern, but really, it's a preemptive strike. It's designed to change how people see everything you do and say from that point on.
And that leads right into stage 2, social polarization. Once that negative story is out there, the manipulator uses a tactic called triangulation. They basically wedge themselves between you and someone else, create a conflict, and then play the role of the calm, rational one in the middle. They'll set up these little loyalty tests, forcing people to pick a side. And since everyone's already been fed this story about your instability, who do you think they choose? They side with the manipulator, the one who seems so concerned. And that's the core of it. They turn people against you without a single piece of actual evidence.
And the final result is total isolation. Your phone stops ringing. Your friends get cold. You feel completely and utterly alone, confused, betrayed. And in that moment of weakness, who's the only one still there pretending to offer support? The manipulator. At that point, your dependency on them is absolute, and their control is complete.
So why on earth is this so effective? I mean, why does it work so well? To get that, we need to look at the psychology here, for both the manipulator and the target. This isn't just about what they do, it's about exploiting our most basic human needs.
This right here is the psychological engine that drives the whole thing. On one side, you have the manipulator. They need impunity, they want to control you and abuse you with zero consequences, so they discredit you before you can even speak up. But on the other side, you have the target's vulnerability, our deep, fundamental human need to belong. The manipulator weaponizes the incredible pain of being rejected by our friends. This creates this intense mental chaos for the victim, what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. Your brain is trying to hold two opposite ideas at once. I'm a good person, and all my friends are leaving me. And to stop that pain, the victim often lands on the conclusion the manipulator wanted all along. It must be me. I must be the problem.
Look, the most important thing to get here is that this whole strategy taps into one of our deepest, most primal fears, the fear of being kicked out of the group. For thousands of years, being ostracized literally meant death. That fear is baked into our DNA. The psychological pain of being rejected is so real, so intense, that our brains will do almost anything to make it stop, including blaming ourselves. A manipulator knows this, even if it's just instinctively, and they exploit it without a second thought.
Okay, we have picked apart the attack. Now let's flip the script. Let's move from just analyzing this to actually empowering you. How do you fight back against something so sneaky, so insidious? This is your defensive playbook.
The defense is basically a mirror image of the attack. It's a three-step process designed to tear down the manipulator's fake story. First, you have to identify it. You've got to learn the subtle warning signs. Second, you inquire. You need to use factual questions to expose how flimsy their claims really are. And third, you anchor. You have to proactively secure your support system so it's immune to the poison.
So how do you spot this before it's too late? You gotta look for the early signs. A good friend might come to you with this vague, secondhand concern, saying something like, "Hey, you doing okay? So-and-so said they were worried about you." Or maybe people who are always warm are suddenly cold, distant, for no reason you can figure out. You might hear these whispers about your mental state, or even more subtly, you find yourself being left out of group chats or plans. These are not coincidences. These are data points. They are signs that a smear campaign is happening.
So, when you feel this happening, when a friend comes to you with that vague concern they heard from the manipulator, your first instinct is probably to get defensive, right? To say, "No, I'm not unstable," but that's a trap. It just keeps you explaining yourself. Instead, there is one question, one single question that completely flips the script. This is it. This is the question that shatters the whole frame. What specific action of mine are you referring to? This question is a pattern interrupt. It's so powerful because a smear campaign is built on feelings, on vague accusations about your character, not on facts. The person repeating the concern literally has no specifics to give you because the manipulator never gave them any. This one question forces them to realize they're just running on hearsay. It snaps the conversation out of the emotional drama and back to objective, verifiable reality. And finally, the ultimate defense is to get ahead of it. Don't wait for the poison to do its work. Go to the people you trust the most, the ones who still feel like solid ground, and you tell them calmly and factually what's going on. You can say something like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I think this person is trying to isolate me by spreading a false story. I know it might sound weird, but if you hear anything bad about me, please, I'm asking you to be my reality check. Come to me directly and ask for the facts before you decide." When you do this, you're basically inoculating your support system. You're building up your own defenses by reinforcing those reality anchors. And all of this brings us to our final and most critical takeaway. This is about so much more than just defending yourself. It's about reclaiming your entire perception of what is real. If you hear nothing else today, please hear this. The isolation. It is not a reflection of you. It's not a sign of your worth or your character. It is not your fault. I'm going to say that again. It is not your fault. It is a manufactured environment. It is a calculated strategy. It is the one thing the manipulator needs to get what they want, which is total control.
So let's wrap this all up. At its heart, group isolation framing is the trick that turns everyone against you without any evidence at all. It follows a predictable, destructive pattern. It starts with narrative seeding, planting those poisonous concerns. That leads to social polarization, where friends are pushed to pick a side based on a lie. And the end game is always the same: total isolation for you. But here's the key: awareness breaks the loop. When you learn to see the smear campaign, when you have the courage to demand facts, and when you proactively anchor yourself to people you trust, you don't just defend yourself, you completely dismantle their entire strategy and you take back your reality.
Just understanding this blueprint is the biggest, most important step toward becoming immune to it. It drags this covert psychological weapon out of the dark and into the light where we can see it for what it is. So the question I want to leave you with is this: now that you can see the blueprint, how will you protect your social reality?